Ashley Andrews, Molly Malloy, and Shauna Lemieux, all part of our communications team. As we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to make sure your cameras are turned off, that your computers are muted, and as a reminder, we are being recorded so that this will be posted later for those who aren't able to make it today. And as we go through, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat, and we will do our best to give you some answers at the end of the presentation. Again, welcome to our Digital First Marketing for Extension Programs webinar. We know that it's been a rush as everybody has had to move to this online format in a very quick amount of time in a way that is pretty new for a lot of us. As it being extraordinarily new, we've noticed that a lot of folks aren't fully aware of what tools are available, and people aren't really using the best practices in this scramble. That's why we put together this webinar, is to help you guys know what tools are available and have a better idea of what those best practices are so that you can most effectively reach your audience in this new platform and environment. First thing we need to consider is digital first thinking. This is a little bit about what we're going to be going through, how to begin, social media, content marketing, email marketing, media relations, where can you get help, and where can you go if you have additional questions. Beginning in the digital realm requires digital first thinking. Internet natives tend to think a little bit differently than, say, the people walking through your office and seeing your flyers. They want information that's easy, interactive, searchable, and shareable. As such, they will always choose web pages over flyers. Why is this? Well, web pages, first of all, are much friendlier for search engines, so they're likely to show up first on your Google or your Bing or whatever search engine they happen to be using. Web pages usually adapt to the size of their device, so they can easily see it, whether on their mobile phones, on their tablets, or on their large screen computers. Web pages also allow them to have a choice to go seek more information when they see their stuff. They can either say, hey, that's cool, I want to know more, and they have the option to click through for more information, or they can say, hey, that's cool, but that's all I need to know. We can move on to the next thing. Web pages are easy to share on social media. You can share pictures, you can share URLs, you can share lines of text. It's a much easier way for them to be able to share with their friends when they find the cool stuff you've been doing. And finally, web pages easily link to more resources. It's very quick to drop in a URL or say for more information, go here. Unlike a flyer, flyers are not search engine friendly. Usually they will show up on the second or third page of Google, which everybody knows nobody goes to. Flyers also tend to require people to zoom in on their phones or require clicking through. If you have a, for more information, see this flyer or a view flyer button, then you will likely lose all of your internet native audience because they're not going to click through to it. In addition, flyers tend to provide information overload. They don't tend to have the short and sweet bullets for the internet native who wants easy and quick to get through. Flyers are not really easily shared on social media. Once again, photos are easy to share, URLs are easy to share, simple lines of text are easy to share, PDFs, documents can't really be shared. And taking a picture of your flyer and sharing that just gets you right back to the information overload problem of they're still not going to look on it at social media. And finally, flyers are not easily linked to additional resources. You end up with all sorts of problems if you're even able to get them to read it in the first place. So for this particular program, or for this webinar, We will be going through how do we get them to your page. We're going to be starting, rather than with a flyer, we're going to be starting with the calendar. We're going to be going over what to do with your program pages online, and finally, how to get the word out. You guys will recall we recently sent out a media release that had a lot of really awesome stuff that you guys are doing throughout the state, and it was pretty cool. Unfortunately, that particular release had 9 program pages, 6 Facebook pages, 5 contact emails, 1 YouTube channel, 1 order form, and 1 Eventbrite link. That's 23 places we were sending our people, only 9 of which actually get them to the extension website. The rest of them just sort of scatter them everywhere. We're going to show you why posting to the calendar gets them all going to the one location where we want them going, rather than the 23 different locations that don't always link back to extension. You're going to be wanting to post to the university calendar for a number of reasons, and Ashley will go over exactly how to post to this calendar a little bit later on. The university calendar shows that extension is part of the university. That means that we're getting good awareness. We're getting our awareness raised as we're part of this group too. And that's the one location that, when you have it set up correctly, shows up everywhere else that it needs to. It's one post and you're done. One of the places it shows up is on the main extension events calendar. And you want it to show up on the extension events calendar because this is good for stakeholders. They can look at it and say, hey, extension is being active in very many places throughout the state. This is a good thing. And then you can nail it down even further, where it shows up on your program page. And the program page calendar shows events that are specific to your program. That's good for the interested individuals who made it to one of your events before and decided, hey, that's cool, I want to go to another one, what's coming up? Or maybe you had a class that was full and they're like, well, darn, I missed out on this class, but it sounded interesting, maybe they have another one. They can go to your program page and see what other classes are coming up. And finally, there are many other locations where that one university calendar posting can show up. That includes the Nevada Weekly e-newsletter, county pages on the extension website, topic pages on the extension website, 4-H pages, and even parent program pages. If you have it going for a sub-program for a main program, that lets them get a view of everything happening with related programs as well. And again, Ashley will be going a little more on how to make sure it shows up on all these pages correctly. So you've got your calendar set up. Next thing you want to do is update your program page. Why? Because this is the landing page for all of the additional marketing that will occur. Your calendar posts link back to your program page, social media posts link back to your program page, email marketing links back to your program page. Even our media releases, our advisories, relations, all that will go back to your program page. Why? Because that tells reader more than just your event. That tells them about your program, that shows them related programs, that hooks them to do more digging to see what all extension has available. Part of that is getting that university calendar widget, which once again, we'll talk a little bit about later. That's what allows the program to show, or the event to show up on your page. And that means that's how they learn more about your program. And this is an example, our business development program. You'll notice on the left, they updated it for the COVID-19 resources available. So that means that when people come to their website looking for the events, suddenly there's all these relevant current resources that they can go to. And it makes it readily available and relevant, which is what you want for your internet natives. Finally, getting the word out. You've posted to the calendar, you've updated your program page, you are ready for the next step. And at this point, Ashley's going to go back a little bit, show you the step-by-step on how to update the calendar, and then talk to you a little bit more about how to get the word out about your program. Ashley, if you want.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Now that you all know where to begin, and if you were asleep, that was with the calendar and with your program page and not with a flyer. And now that you know what a good example of that looks like, kudos to the programs that Tiffany highlighted, we're going to try it out. First things first, check the extension's website calendar when you are in the planning stage of your upcoming program activity or event. And the reason for that is programs are statewide now, since anyone, anywhere can find and view your Zoom class or your Facebook Live, YouTube, IGTV, or other video. Just ask Heidi, whose Grow Your Own Nevada programs on Zoom are attracting hundreds of people each session from all over the place. And, stating the obvious here, programs are not just statewide, but also multidisciplinary. For example, a health and nutrition program may touch on growing healthy foods, or on food safety. This overlaps a bit with horticulture and agriculture. By checking the calendar, you can make sure that you're not competing with another event for the same audience. And make sure that you're not going live on the same social channel at the same time as someone else. Then get your event on the calendar so that others can do the same for you, which brings me to, first thing second, getting your exciting new program activity or event onto the calendar. How do we do that? Well, the easy answer is by following the directions. To find the directions, visit extension.unr.edu. Like now, seriously, I'll wait. Are you there yet? Okay, now click Quick Links. It's in the upper right corner of your screen. And in the drop-down menu that appears once you have clicked on the Quick Links button, you'll see Employee Resources. Click that link. Have you been to this page before? It's awesome. A lot of folks are adding stuff to this page every day to make it even more awesome. So give it a look over sometime. But now, back on task, to the calendar. To get the goods on the calendar, search the Employee Resources page. A good search term to find stuff on the calendar is the word calendar. So type it in the search box, click Filter, and voila. Every employee resource related to the calendar is now showing on your screen. Click the How to Add an Event to the Calendar link. As you can see, there's a lot to remember in adding an event to the calendar. That How to Add an Event to a Calendar post is long. And it's long because it includes not just the steps, but the best practices too. Today, since we have limited time, we'll focus on the basics. But be sure to sit down with this document sometime that's not today and really go through it so that way you can get everything from it that you can. And check back periodically for a refresher. Memories fade over time, technology changes over time, and this document, just like everything else on the Employee Resources webpage, is a living document. It will get upgrades over time. Now that we have directions in hand, it's time to think. Like you, think right now, think. What do you have coming up that isn't on the calendar? You're doing stuff, I know you are. Grab the details for everything that you're doing that's not on the calendar. Pick one of those things, and as I follow the directions to enter an event, follow me and enter one of your own. You'll get some practice right now with the basic steps and basic practices. And you can always come back later after you've sat down with the instructions to get into more detail and upgrade the event posting. Okay, got the deets? Here we go. The first step of the directions is to visit events.unr.edu and click on the Submit an Event button on the right side of the screen. A login box will pop up. Click Login with School ID. You'll be taken to a University NetID login screen. Log in with your NetID. That highlights the uniqueness of your event. Use strong language. And I don't mean your
Ashley, your audio is cutting in and out.
Uh-oh.
You're back.
So you guys couldn't hear me?
We lost you right after the NetID section.
Okay. I
Pick it up from there.
Thanks for letting me know. Let's see. So maybe around here?
Perfect.
Cool. So once you click the Add an Event button, you'll be taken to a University NetID login screen, and you'll log in there with your NetID username and password. Once you log in, you'll be taken to the page to add a public event. That page looks like this. On this page, to help your event to show up early in search engine results and to help them be shared as a social media post that's eye-catching and to entice people to click on RSVP for, share, and attend your event, you're going to fill in as much info about your event as you can, following the directions and the best practices that the directions include. Okay, let's get this party started with our event name. Let's enter something here that's concise and catchy, that highlights the uniqueness of your event. Use strong language, and I don't mean your swear words. I mean language that paints powerful mental pictures, language that makes folks smile or think or want to learn more. Next, enter the event's description, not its flyer. Like Tiffany mentioned, flyers don't do users any favors, and they don't do us any either. They're not good digital marketing, and they are not good accessibility. So if you have a flyer related to the event, don't post it, and don't post an image of it either. Instead, copy and paste without formatting the flyer's information into the description box. To paste without formatting on a Windows machine, hold down the Control key, the Shift key, and the letter V key at the same time. If you run into trouble with pasting without formatting, your local IT expert can help. Now, look over the info that you just pasted. Does it need to be rearranged or embellished? Probably. Organize everything in the description box in a way that's skimmable. That's what people do. Only about 20% of what is on a web page gets read by a person. They skim through and see what catches their eye. So put the most important stuff first, and after the most important stuff, include everything else an attendee needs to know. But remember, the wordier you get, the less skimmable you are. So instead of writing an essay, remember that 5-paragraph essay from school? Yeah, don't do that. Instead of that, use bulleted lists and an occasional touch of bold too, just to help guide the eyes as they skim down the page. And keep out of the description box info that goes in the other boxes, such as the date, time, cost, and more. Also keep out of the description box special fonts, colors, or other decorations. This can limit readability and accessibility. It can also be poor marketing and branding. To learn more description box do's and don'ts, check out the directions. Next up is the date and time. If your event happens more than once, use the repeating dropdown to make that happen. This is more efficient than entering instances of repeating events separately, and it's more accessible too. There is more information on working with complicated dates, times, and schedules in the directions. Now, on to place. This can be a real place such as a building or a not so real place such as a webinar. Feel free to type in Zoom as the place. For example, that's what Grow Your Own Nevada did. For more information about entering location information for your event, check out the directions. Next up, hashtag, singular. You get just one here, but adding it helps the university, extension, event attendees, and others to talk about your event on social media. And that's exactly what you want us all to do. And when we get talking, you can track, measure, analyze, and report on that conversation, maybe for your funders. Using a hashtag also helps the calendar to know which events it should promote as trending. Do not include the hashtag symbol as it will automatically be added. We'll go over tips for good hashtags later when we touch on social, and you can check the directions for that info too. The next box to tick is the event website box. That's your program page. If you don't enter it here, folks won't visit it, they won't find out you're awesome, and they won't be able to then support you with their tax and charitable dollars. Also, Tiffany will be sad inside because you just blew off her excellent advice, even though it was good advice. Moving on to the photo field. The easiest, fastest way to tell people what your event is about and why they should come is visually. So upload a photo. If you don't, the block N appears, and nothing makes an event calendar page more dull than line after line of block Ns. And upload a photo that's yours. Don't use photos you don't have permission to use. Because if you do that, copyright violations happen, and stuff like this happens. A marketing company grabbed a photo off of the internet, used it in a hamburger ad, and turns out the photo they stole and shouldn't have used anyway was of a journalist moments before his death. The image was taken from a video of him being executed. If the marketing company only used photos that were theirs or that they had permission to use, this never would have happened to them and to the journalist's family. Don't let it happen to us. For photos that you can use, check out our college's brand toolkit. And I know you're getting sick of hearing this, the calendar directions. When you do upload a photo, keep this in mind. The caption box is a lie. The box appears after you upload a photo, and what you enter into it doesn't show up under the image in a small, centered, italicized type like, a caption should. Instead, the stuff that you enter into that box shows up in the web page's code for the photo. It hangs out there until a screen reader user comes along. At that time, it's read out loud to that user who likely has a visual impairment. So put in that box not a caption, but alternate text. The alt text should describe what the image is conveying to someone who can't see it. For tips on good alt text, check the directions and take accessibility training from the university's teaching and learning technologies. It's required training annually anyway, and it will help you do better digital marketing. Now, we're going to skip down the page a bit to a super important box, the department box. See it? Here is where the magic happens. The tags here control how your events show up on our websites. No tags, no websites for you. So select all of the department tags that apply. Select your program, select topics related to your program, and locations related to your program. Because some folks look for events by location, by topic, or program, and if you don't tag those events that way, they won't show up that way. Also, use the not a public event tag if that's the case for your event. This tag hides your event from the main calendar page so that you don't have random people showing up at Mariposa Academy to a Grow Yourself Healthy program lesson that is only open to the students who are enrolled there. But it lets the event appear on your program page, where your participants, your teachers, the parents of the children in your program, they will check for information. And maybe your elected officials and funders will check too. Finally, pricing and ticketing info. Pricing can be free, registration required, or paid. Ticket cost can be anything. Symbols, letters, and numbers are accepted in this field. As you can tell, I put 5 cookies in the box. But more seriously, you can put things in the box like $5 in advance and $10 at the door. The ticket link is a trick question for those of you who are running registration through a third-party site. If you send folks directly there, you'll lose traffic to your program page. But if you don't, you'll annoy your program participants with extra clicks. You'll have to carefully consider your needs and your audience's needs here and paste in the box accordingly. We made it. Finally, click Add Event. Now, stuff will happen behind the scenes, so don't panic if your event doesn't immediately appear. Your event is going through a spam filter. That filter is a real human being, and once they approve your event, and if you've tagged it correctly, it will show up on our college and extension websites and on your program web pages too. Well, if your program page has a widget, that is. If yours doesn't and you want one, check the Employee Resources page for instructions on editing your program page to add a widget. So, now we're done with beginning. We know where and we know how. We're on to social content and email marketing. Oh my. First up is social media marketing. Extension has a lot of social media channels. If you're finding you want to use social media for your program, you don't need to start a new one. Instead, ask for access to an existing one. For example, reach out to me if you'd like to use the Facebook page for your Extension County office, or if you'd like to use the Extension YouTube account that includes playlists for program areas, or if you'd like to use the Extension Pinterest account that includes boards and sections of boards for program areas and programs, or seriously, we have so many channels, I could go on and on here, but the point is we've likely got you covered. And if not, we can figure out smart next steps. And since we've likely got you covered here, it's important to point out that some of y'all are uncovered unnecessarily. That's because some of you have been using your personal accounts to conduct university business. Not only is this a branding and a reach problem that could hurt us as we move into leaner times, it doesn't get you any benefits. You're still subject to things like accessibility. And it also opens you up to fun things like Freedom of Information Act requests. Because you are conducting official university business on your personal devices and accounts, folks can request info on those devices and accounts, no matter how personal that info may be. So if that's you, stop, collaborate, and listen. Let's get you onto a university channel. For our channels, we have set goals and strategies that help us to reach our overall goals of impacting Nevada communities with our programs, of conducting world-improving research, of graduating successful students, of, being fully funded. To those aims, we share our best content, we listen, engage, and learn, we tell our story, we share our research, and we communicate in a crisis. And we act as one wolf pack. Some folks in Nevada think each Extension County office is a separate organization. They don't realize we're all one organization with many offices around the state. Getting folks to make this connection and the connection to our college and the university is important to branding, and branding is important to being able to do our best work. And it's important to being fully funded. So share stuff on your channels from other parts of Extension, our college, and the university. We are all in this together. And as you share, following these goals and strategies, be authentic. A great example of this is the Extension Clark County 4-H Youth Development Facebook Live videos by Nora Luna. Have you seen them? They're great. She's sitting in her living room in a comfy chair with her cuddly dog on her lap. You can see her smiling face and hear her warm voice, and she reads to you and to your family children's stories right now in a time when you are working full-time, being a mother and homeschooling, and you need all of the help you can get. Nora's here. Your kids love her and her dog too, and truth be told, you feel the same way. You become loyal to the authentic brand that helped you, and you vote and donate accordingly. Speaking of brand, be branded. That means tie your channel back to extension to our college and the university. Do that in the account's name, about info, and website link, and in its profile pic. Download our logos for social profiles from our college's brand toolkit and use them. Also, be engaging, like, share, retweet, and repost research-based, accurate, well-written info from reputable sources. Be professional. This includes following the university social media policy, and be accessible. Here we are going to go into a little bit more detail. Accessibility starts with the words we use in the content of our posts. Those words should be simple ones, free from technical jargon, free from terms we use internally, such as Northern Area, and free from acronyms and abbreviations, including UNR and UNCE. Just use extension or university instead. They'll get the picture, especially when you use the Block M social profile picture. Accessibility covers not just the words in our post content, but the links, hashtags, and mentions too. To be accessible with your links, use descriptive short links, such as unr.edu. Where that's not possible, use a link shortener, such as bit.ly. To be accessible with hashtags, capitalize the first letter of each word in multi-word hashtags. This helps screen readers distinguish separate words. It improves screen reader experiences. Plus, it's easier for non-screen reader users to read anyway. And to be accessible with all three, consistently put them at the end of the posts. Don't sprinkle them throughout the post. I'm going to say that again because that's not something that you see on social. Everyone on social is sprinkling them throughout the post. So you want to too, but don't because it's not accessible. Instead, compose your post content like normally and save the hashtags, links, and mentions for the end of the post. Accessibility also covers the imagery that we use on social. For visuals, be sure they provide sufficient color contrast so people who are colorblind can enjoy them too. Be sure to provide alt text. Many platforms let you do this, including Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn, but some don't, such as Pinterest. On platforms without the built-in alt text tools, you're going to have to do this manually. After the post content, but before the links, hashtags, and mentions, write the words, image description, then type the alt text. No matter what platform you're on, do not use text on top of or inside of visuals. It can't be read by a screen reader. If you do this anyway, thinking, well, you can just add it to the alt text, you're still leaving out people with visual impairments who don't use screen readers. For example, people who use glasses or a magnifier. You're also leaving out my mom, who lost her cheaters again, even though I swear she's wearing 2 pairs atop her head right now. If you add alt text and an image description and text in the image itself, thinking that if you cover enough bases, it will be okay, now you're straying into bad marketing, time wasting, and redundancy that annoys your program participants, so don't do it. Just stay away from text and images. Also, stay away from flashing, flickering, or blinking items like GIFs unless they flash less than 3 times per second, and do not use saturated red colors for flashing content. Now, a quick aside here on visuals. I know it says accessibility on the top right there, but we're going to stray a little bit. When you think about all of this stuff on visuals, you're not just thinking about accessibility. You're also thinking about equality of access. People who have a low income or who live in an area without good internet, they need alt text. They need you to stay away from text and images. They turn off images to save on expensive data plans, especially right now when many people cannot work. And they turn off images to deal with slow broadband, which happens all of the time in, for example, the rurals of Nevada, but is even happening in the major urban areas of Nevada now, as folks who work from home all get online at the same time and try to have webinars like this one at the same time, and things get sluggish. So as you're thinking about visuals and being accessible, also think about the person in ELCO. Also think about the person who qualifies for SNAP benefits. They need alt text too. They need you to stay away from text and images too. For video accessibilities, captions must be immediate and accurate, including capitalization and punctuation. When it comes to immediate, what this means is that for live streams, you may need to contract with a third-party vendor to provide live captions. Or you may need to switch things up a bit, for example, and use Facebook Premiere instead of Facebook Live. Facebook Premiere allows you to schedule videos that broadcast live, but you can schedule them in advance, and in the scheduling process, you can auto-generate and then correct captions. You can do this yourself without hiring a third-party vendor. So if you're on a budget, just think about switching things up a bit. And when it comes to the accuracy part of captions, think capitalization and punctuation, as well as gems like this one. This is an actual screenshot from my inbox from Cindy K. She came across this little gem while fixing a Healthy Kids Resource Center dance instructions video. You can't follow the dance steps because they make no sense. What the heck is the dance step? Pan, pan, turn around, bend, 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 slide. How do I do that? And you can't follow the dance steps because they're swearing at you. Yes, under that censor bar there, that's the F word in video captions on a university social channel on a video meant for children. So don't trust the auto-generated captions. You're going to need to correct them. If a platform won't let you upload captions, link to a captioned version of the file hosted somewhere else, and disable autoplay. Now, the First Amendment provides a lot of protection for those commenting on social, and university social accounts are public forums created by a public agency. So on those sites, we must be viewpoint neutral, and we must not pre-screen comments or delete, hide, or ban comments or users. In special cases, we may be able to take something down, for example, in cases of violence, but other times we have to leave stuff up, even when we don't like it, like profanity, for example. If you think you may have a special case on your hands, reach out to your communications team. We can route the request for deletion through University Marcom and legal, and we can help with University Police and the Title IX office too. So just some final thoughts before we take a look at an example. Be careful of copyrights. Make sure the visuals you post are yours or that you have permission to use them. Make sure the audio in videos is yours or you have permission to use them. This includes songs playing in the background. This includes the music you're playing in the lobby of your Zoom classes to fill the silence before it's time to begin. This includes sound effects. Facebook and YouTube both have libraries of free music and sounds. And choose wisely. You're going to get into platform selection, and on platforms, you're going to get into comparing the different tools. And as you're using the platforms and tools, you're going to get into comparing desktop versus mobile. So an example of choosing wisely with platform selection is using the main extension Facebook versus using the main extension YouTube. You can have access to both. I can make that happen if you ask, not a problem. But YouTube often challenges you and makes you prove that you're real and that we haven't been hacked. Facebook doesn't seem to mind that we're logging in from all across the state, but Google does. So when it comes to, your 6 o'clock at night gardening class and you're about to take it live, do you want to be on Facebook that doesn't seem to mind that you're in Vegas, even though the webmaster email is in Reno? Or do you want to be on YouTube and it might challenge and say, we think you're a hacker, and then what? But you're thinking, well, if I go on Facebook and my audience isn't there, it would have been better for me to be on YouTube. Well, you can do both. You can go on Facebook and then you can download that video and upload it to YouTube. Another consideration are the different tools on the platforms, like Premiere versus Live. Scheduling a live video allows you to promote it more easily. And that's something that a lot of you have asked is, how can I best promote my Facebook Live video? Well, take advantage of the tools in Premiere. And then finally, when you're thinking about desktop versus mobile, on mobile, folks are going to be able to give you real-time reactions. But if they're viewing from a tablet or a desktop or a laptop, when they're looking at your Facebook video, they don't have that same thumbs up, love, wow menu that's on mobile. So things are going to be a little bit different for them. And if you're relying on that feedback to kind of read the room, so to speak, that's going to be different for you too. And then also, if you pick mobile on Facebook, you're not able to do live automatic cross-posting. But if you pick desktop, you are. So if you want to go live on Healthy Kids Resource Center Facebook page and on the Extension Clark County Resource page at the same time, you're going to need to be on desktop and not mobile. The last final thought there is to set and measure goals. Just because we've gone digital, that doesn't mean we're not free from reporting to our funders on all of the great work that we do. So set some goals for that reporting and measure them by using the analytics tools that are available for you on the different platforms. So putting all of this together, the best way to construct a social media post, and hint, it's not a flyer, because a flyer is not good digital marketing. It's something people do out of habit or because it's easy. The best way to construct a social post is on an official account with our goals, strategies, and tips in mind, with accessibility and the First Amendment in mind, and with images, videos, and sounds that either are yours flat out or that you have gotten written permission from the copyright holder to use, and on a channel and device that you've chosen strategically. And once that post is constructed, the process doesn't stop. Check back on the analytics, figure out what worked well, what didn't, and then refine how you are approaching your social media marketing. That brings us to content marketing. Content marketing allows you to put out articles full of keywords that your audience will search for. When they do, they'll find the answer to their search question, and they'll find your wonderful programs. And the content that you post, you can also share on your social channels. The university has a plan for content marketing. Their content calendar this year follows campus, regional, national, and international observances to guide content. Anyone and everyone can help to provide that content. That means you, one of your students, one of your volunteers, a member of your team, you. And that content can be on your work, your research, your programs, field trips, events. With so many upcoming observances, and I'm looking at you, National Donut Day, there is a way to tie what you are doing to an observance and to, therefore, the university's content calendar. And you can make that tie in a few different formats. Social media posts, which we've already talked about, email newsletter articles, and Nevada Today articles. Here's an example of a good email newsletter article. It was written by a 4-H'er who is the club reporter. She took a photo, she wrote up her experiences, and we included it in the newsletter. To have your write-up included, whether it's by you, somebody on your team, a volunteer, anybody, visit unr.edu/cabner/newsletter/content-contributors. So remember when I talked about short descriptive links, this isn't one of those. But visit that and give us your stuff. We will get it out there. You can also contribute Ask the Professor articles. Those are 200 to 300 words long plus a photo. They are good for the public who lands on them from Google searches. These articles should be written so that school children can wrap their heads around them. They should be written in a tone that is third person, knowledgeable yet approachable, readable, and entertaining. This is an example of a series that was written by our Rethink Your Drink program folks. You can also write Insights blog posts. Those are 500 to 1,000 words long, and they require a headshot. These folks are for our university community, but anyone can see them. The tone here is also third person, knowledgeable yet approachable, readable, and entertaining. This is an example of how our extension nutrition experts tied their programs and their expertise to an observance, National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and they got their content up on the university's Nevada Today as a blog post. Finally, stories. This is where things get a little fuzzy. Stories, who knows how many words they are? They take as many words as it takes to get the job done. There's not a hard word count like the other content types. You do need several high quality photos, and those photos have to be yours, or they have to have written permission for us to use them. These stories are for the public. And they can be about an observance like this one, and from a factual standpoint like this example, domestic violence, also called intimate partner violence, is a pattern of abusive behavior. So this is an informational story, right? It's tied to our Heart and Shield program. But stories can also be a story like this one. In the last 20 years, more than 20 fires greater than 100,000 acres raged. These fires unleashed devastating losses. So it ties into something that is in the news a lot, and it links that story, that emotional story, back to one of our programs that helps people to protect Nevada's lands from fire. So those are a few examples of different contents that you can contribute. And no matter which content you're looking to contribute, proofreading is important. And if you need help with that, just let us know. So now we've covered the social media marketing and the content marketing. And to get to that email marketing, oh my, we're going to turn it over now to Molly, who's going to take us home. Molly?
Thank you. I am just trying to switch over. Okay, so emails, e-newsletters, and e-blasts can be a great tool, but are they the right one for you? First, ask yourself if it's necessary. Actually, first ask, did I put this on the website calendar? Then ask if this is necessary. Have you considered using social media? Ashley covered a wide variety of options that we already have in place. Can your goal be accomplished with those tools instead? Like I said, e-newsletters and e-blasts are great tools, but they are not the only tools in the shed. Why are you sending this? Does your content vary each week? Why would someone want to receive this email from you? Think about your frequency. Are you committed to sending this on a regular basis? Do you have a calendar or schedule that you'll follow? If not, consider these factors and what other options might make more sense. Remember, we're here to help you figure this out. Reach out to us and let us know your problem or goals and let us work with you. So first, let's start with timing. Planning is essential. Last-minute requests don't provide you with time to develop good content or us to review for compliance. Give yourself and us enough time to do this effectively. For Clark County, send an email to me at least 5 days in advance to be reviewed. I'll give tips, tricks for branding, marketing, accessibility to help you represent your program, extension, and our college, and best of all, have great success. For the rest of the state, run it by your office's brand expert. That could be your desktop publisher, or it could be a communications team member who works closely with your department. So first, let's talk about branding your e-newsletter and some guidelines to follow. Easiest thing to start with, placement of your logo. Well, first, the correct logo. Make sure you've got the correct logo on there. Then consider its placement. It should be in the top left or center. Eye tracking studies have found that people will instinctively look for logos in the upper left-hand side of emails, often because that's consistent with the placement of logo on most websites. However, it is also acceptable to put your logo in the center to align with the email content beneath it. Whether your logo is centered or on the left-hand side, branding the header of your email reminds your recipients that it came from you and it's part of a series. You've already heard some of this, but don't forget, accessibility applies to e-newsletter content too. So let's talk about your don'ts. Again, make your life easier and don't try to design a flyer. Remember, digital first, and do not attach it as a PDF. Even if you make the PDF accessible, it's really not a best practice. Now let's talk about the do's. First things first, take the university's classes on accessibility. Not only is it required, you'll learn a lot of things. In that class, you'll discuss and learn how to use the tools available in Word to help identify a hierarchy so a screen reader knows how to read the information on the page. That's covered in the basic web accessibility training. Use headings. Put things in a logical reading order. Use lists such as bullets or numbers to organize the information clearly. Use hyperlinks to link to more content. Accessibility does not have to be difficult. A lot of times, it's common sense. Once you know the tools that you already have, you will have no problem making things accessible. A few more do's to review. When adding alt text, avoid saying photo of XYZ, Think about how you would describe it to someone who can't see it and why it matters to your content. The same picture might be used for a variety of publications, but it might contextually change. And if it's just decorative, then check the box that says it's decorative. Meaningful link text. Be sure to include a description about what the link is and avoid generic links such as click here or more. Be conscious to make links distinguishable and obvious by placement, not just by color, which someone, potentially with color blindness cannot see or distinguish. As you can see in the example, the link is clearly going to take you to the BBC Mobile Accessibility Guidelines. These descriptions help a visually impaired person decide if they want to visit the site for more information. And also, they're definitely more aesthetically pleasing than a long URL. Make sure you're using high color contrast to ensure that your content is easily readable. As you can see, white on a dark background is much easier to read than using similar shades. The same would be true if you were using something like red and pink or blue and green. But if you're following our branding guidelines, this shouldn't become an issue. And don't forget about your font size. Anything below 14 points can often be difficult to read, so consider that when you're designing your newsletter. So we've reviewed some general information about timing and accessibility. Let's recap some other best practices. Think about some of your own favorite emails when you open them and know what to expect. People like consistency. It makes them feel good when they know what to expect. So don't try to change it up every time you send it. For headlines and subjects, keep it between 30 and 50 characters, including spaces. It's helpful to think about how people will read your e-newsletter. Most likely it'll be on their mobile device. And because email accounts and mobile devices often cut off subject lines that go beyond this length, make it snappy. Additionally, your email subject line should create a sense of urgency while giving readers some indication of what to expect when you open that email. How many of you have received sale emails that say time's running out? I don't know about you, but Anthropology can get my heart rate going with the messaging, and oftentimes I definitely open and click to find out what's on sale. Attention spans are small. Give them enough time, well, keep it short, give them enough to be interested and leave them wanting more. Again, think about your favorite emails. Do you want to have a book to read, or do you want to be able to pick and choose when you want to read more? That's true for your content too. Let's entice them to click through, find the content they want, and then discover more of what Extension has to offer. So I wanted to share a few examples in practice. Growing Nevada is a great example. Engaging photos, short headlines, a summary description, descriptive link text, and buttons with a call to action. Doesn't, make you sit there and try to figure out what you want to do. You're instantly engaged. Another great example is Grow On. Great photo, information is clear and concise, and clear call to action. So outside the university, I like this one too, and it's definitely the most minimalist. It relies heavily on linking to content. And guess where that content lives? On their website. Because once you're there, you can discover more. They have a lot to offer, and so do we. Have you caught on to our theme here? So we've talked about content and best practices. Now let's talk about how you can send it. Many of you are correctly using Outlook and sending out to listservs that we have, and that's a fantastic option to stick with. If you're interested, contact us and let us know. Others of you might already have accounts on Constant Contact or MailChimp, and when using these products, you'll do a lot of the branding and accessibility the same way. We are working on streamlining the process to use the marketing Constant Contact, and we'll update you when that's in place. But whatever tool or platform you're using, feel free to reach out because we can give proper guidance, templates, or figure out a separate training just for you. And absolutely feel free to send me your test emails. I can help. I'll outline edits needed so you can know what to do in the future. Remember, whatever you're doing needs to be approved by marketing. So remember to give yourself enough time to get your materials approved. So I really wanted to title this slide Yelp for Help. And for those of you with children, you'll know where that comes from. The sentiment is true. Rather than spending time making your own e-newsletter, let us include your programs and events in some of our key e-newsletters and larger distribution lists. As Ashley already mentioned, getting your stuff included is easy. You can get it included in Growing Nevada, 4-H, Clark County newsletters. All you have to do is send us your stories. We're also going to keep an eye on that calendar we keep mentioning. Remember that having them on the calendar helps us gauge if we have enough programming coming up to do a media release. And as Tiffany mentioned earlier, it makes it easier for the media and our audience to have one place to go to see all we have to offer. We just have to train them to do that first. And with that, let me hand it back over to Tiffany.
We've covered a lot of the tools available to right here and right now. And sometimes when you know what's coming up on the calendar, you can have even more help when you have time for us to work with you. Example of these, one of the ones that you guys are most familiar with are media releases. Media release is a fully created piece of content that we give to the media that they can take and print verbatim to inform the public. And if there is a pre-registration or an event attendance attached to this particular story, to invite the public to respond, either by going online and registering or by showing up at your event. These releases require the largest amount of time. I know that some of you have actually had us turn you down when you say, hey, we want to do a media release. Here is why. Media releases require time for us to strategically schedule. If you come to us for something that may work better as a story in the summer and it's the middle of winter, we may say, let's hold off on this. Or we may say that that's good now, we can work forward with it, but you also need to remember, because it is fully created content, we need time to draft, edit the release, get both our supervisor approval and your approval, plus edit it for industry and university standards and give it to media. In addition, media require time to schedule it in their own story budgets and timeline and to get it published. Many of the outlets that publish for us, particularly in the rural areas, only publish once a week. That means if we want your content included, we need to get it to them in enough time to include it in a timely manner. Media at minimum likes at least 2 weeks notice, which means we even need more notice to have it ready to give to them by their deadline. And finally, we need to give the public time to see that published material and to respond. This is especially important if you have a pre-registration deadline or event attendance. They need time to be able to see it, log on and register, or get it on their calendar to show up to your event. Releases are excellent for things that you know are coming up and can open the door to many other possibilities. Oftentimes you can even reuse the release content for your social media, for your newsletters, for your other program information, but we need time to make it most effective for you. One of the other options available to you are media pitches. This is an elevator pitch. We're giving a couple lines to the media saying, hey, here's a story or here's a person we think you would like. This is why. If you're interested, then we as the communications team can connect you as the media to this individual who can give you more information. Media pitches tend to be tied a bit more with current events, research that's happening, and issues of public interest. A good example of this is we've been working with our nutrition team within the college on nutritional information tied to COVID-19. We've said, hey, we have experts who know some interesting things that we think you and the public will be interested in. Let's see if we can get you some content. Let's see if you're interested in this. That can apply to pretty much any area of expertise. We have a lot of people with a lot of specializations in extension. Let us know and we can be preemptive and give those elevator pitches. I believe that is all that we have for our tools available, except for where to go when you have questions and where to find more help. Ashley, if you want to go ahead and let them know about that.
Okay, so to do digital marketing well, you're going to need marketing info. That's what we tried to provide today, but you'll also need computer skills and accessibility knowledge. We are here to help with the marketing. So when you need help with that part, let us know. But for the computer skills part, reach out to your IT professionals. They can help with things like network and internet, computers, devices, and software. And when I say they, I mean a couple of different people. OIT might be able to help. They're the Office of Information Technologies. They're a department on the university's campus. But we also have IT professionals right here within our college and within our extension offices. These highly trained in-house experts are not a part of OIT, but they do some of the same work and they can help you in the same way. If you don't know your local IT professional, what are you waiting for? You might need them. And it's time to make friends so that way you know who to talk to when you do. One great resource from OIT is LinkedIn Learning. It features video courses by industry experts in software, creative, and business skills. To take advantage of it, visit the URL on your screen and put in your UNR email address. It will then let you use your NetID username and password to get in. To reach out to OIT, follow the URL on your screen. Or for IT help with a local friendly touch, reach out to your favorite local IT professional. Now that you know where to sharpen your computer skills, what about your accessibility skills? Well, that's Teaching and Learning Technologies bailiwick. They provide classroom and instructional technology for those of us who teach 4-credit academic courses. And they provide web campus and accessibility workshops for everyone, even those of us who don't teach 4-credit academic courses. As accessibility liaisons for our college, Robert and I are responsible for ensuring that materials posted to our websites are accessible. And we're responsible for notifying people when they are not, but we're not responsible to make those things accessible. The document authors are. That's you. But as liaisons, we are responsible to help you by sending you to helpful accessibility resources. And one of those is TLT. To reach out to TLT, follow the URL on your screen. So now we finally made it to the end of the agenda. Tiffany wrapped up the media releases. We did a quick run through of where to go to get help, including from marketing, from IT. And now we're ready to take your questions. Who wants to ask the first one?
Hi, Ashley, this is Shauna. I have the questions from chat. I think the first few will be addressed to you regarding the social media section. So the first question is, how long is the approval process once events are added in the calendar? So if somebody follows your great directions, enters their event in the calendar, how long before they see them live?
Like I mentioned, the spam filter is a real person, but it's not going to be the same person each time. We have several part-time student interns that are housed in the university's Office of Marketing and Communications, and they check that spam filter frequently. And when one of the students isn't in the office at the moment, maybe they're at class or just off for the day, those spam queues don't languish. A staff member in the university's Office of Marketing and Communications will step in and get through that spam queue really quickly. I usually see events turned around within an hour, but the longest I've seen is within a business day. Sometimes if we post an event at 10 o'clock on Friday, it can hang around until somebody happens to check their phones or come into the office. But for the most part, they're super, super fast. And if you have an absolute calendar emergency and nothing's getting through the spam filter fast enough, please feel free to reach out. We can help.
Great, thank you. Next question is, what if in the event that you're doing a Facebook Live or Facebook Premiere event and you have trolls? Hopefully that won't happen, but since we can't delete posts, what do you do in the moment if you have somebody who might be trolling you on a Facebook Live event?
On a Facebook Live event in the moment, you can't block them. So your options are to either ignore them. Trolls want attention, and if they don't get it, they tend to wander off, or let your squad handle them for you. And when I say your squad, I don't mean your fellow employees, because they also have to be professional on social and represent the university well on social, just like you do. And they also can't block, ban, hide, delete, just like you can. When I say your squad, I mean folks in the community who know and love you and your programs and extension and our college and the university, and who defend us as one pack. And at first that sounds a little weird. Like, why would people from the public tackle a troll for me? Well, it turns out people do strange things on the internet, if you haven't noticed. And some folks' favorite time is harassing trolls on behalf of brand managers, so that way you don't have to. So as you build up a strong following in the community, serving folks, giving them great programs and advice, they will become loyal to you and your brand. They'll see your humanized content and connect with you as a friend. And they'll get upset on your behalf when a troll attacks their friend, their brand that they love, and they'll step in and handle them for you. They'll have your back. Another thing that you can think about, and in a Facebook Live video, it might not work. In a live video, you're going to ignore the troll, proceed on with your program, because, for example, you're doing a story time and you need to read that story, right? If you have a little bit more space and a little bit more flexibility, like maybe they're trolling you on timeline posts, you can calmly and consistently engage with them on a research-based, level-headed fashion, and they will eventually get bored and wandered off. We had a guy who was trolling our college's Facebook page. He was mad because the university participated in Reno's Pride Parade. So he came on and wanted us to help him spread hate against people of different identities and orientations, and that's not what we're about. And he kept bringing up poor science, just bad science, to back up his point. So I kept sending him to research-based, valid studies that show people are people, and they're all worthy of respect and consideration, and we welcome them all here on our campus. And I kept highlighting how we welcome everybody on our campus. He couldn't change my mind. He couldn't get me to come down to his level and swear and hate people. And every time he read the science, he got all confused because he had bad science and then good science. So then I ended up giving him a lesson on how do you evaluate sources to see if they're credible. And once we got to that point, he never commented with hate again. So on a Facebook Live video where you're reading a story time, you might just have to ignore and continue on your story because you won't have the space to be able to have those sorts of conversations. You'll just have to ignore. And, you know, if your squad handles it for you, great. But maybe later you can have those conversations. And who you are responding for, if you choose to respond to a troll, is not the troll himself. You're responding for the people who are watching. The people who are watching already know the troll's an idiot. They already know the troll is hateful in the example that I was giving. They already know the troll is being rude, right? They already know from the troll's behavior how to judge the troll, but they don't yet know how to judge you. And your responses are not there for the troll. They're there to show the community how to judge you. You are kind and open and welcoming and level-headed. You respond with science. You respond with reason. You respond with research. You do good work, and you offer excellent programs. As long as you stick to those messages, you will be fine. The troll will get bored and he will wander off.
Just a couple more clarifications on Facebook Live. Can you confirm, Ashley, that we are not allowed to use troll blocking software on UNR accounts?
We are not allowed to use blocking software on anything that we do. We can't pre-screen or filter comments. We can't ban, hide, or delete comments or users. We absolutely have to protect free speech. Comments on social are free speech, and we have to let them happen. We cannot delete, hide, ban, nothing.
Great, thank you. And then yes, to clarify, if you're using music on Facebook, you do need copyright permission. If you're using images on Facebook, you need copyright permission. If you're reading stories on Facebook, you need permission from the author. So any content that you are using that you yourself didn't create or you don't have written permission for, you cannot use. So copyright is a big issue. So that's just to clarify that. And then a question that came in earlier was, can we use images of our students or community members if we have those signed photo releases?
Yes, we absolutely can, and we should. Those are the photos we should be using. The temptation is to go to clip art. No, stop. It's also to steal images. Also, no. But what do you do instead? Use photos of our program participants, of real people whose lives we've changed. But of course, use them with permission, with those signed photo releases.
Great. One last question on image permissions is, do Creative Commons licenses count as written permission, like for images on social media or in PowerPoints that they're using for a Zoom class?
Great question. Yes, those Creative Commons licenses do let us use photos. It could be sound effects, it could be music, but read the terms of the Creative Commons license. A lot of them will say with attribution. So in your social post or on your PowerPoint slide, you're going to need to give attribution if that license says attribution. So don't just see the little Creative Commons symbol and get all excited. Be sure to read on in the license to see what parts of the Creative Commons license that content creator is asking you to follow, because some just let you share willy-nilly and some let you modify and some require attribution. You need to kind of check for those details and follow those details. And as long as you do, you're good to go.
Great. Another question on Facebook Live. Can you talk about how do you make a Facebook Live event accessible? How do you do the live video captioned? What's required and what is the best way to do that?
So in the presentation, I mentioned that for accessibility, Facebook Live videos have to be live captioned. I mentioned in the slides that most folks do that with a third-party captioning service. There is not like a free way to do that with a third party. It does cost a little bit of money. For those of us who don't have a budget to take that on, I kind of briefly hinted at using Premiere videos. Premiere videos are videos in Facebook that you can schedule to debut live. But since you are scheduling them, you can upload them in advance. And when you upload them, you can edit the captions that Facebook automatically generates. So it saves you some time with the auto-generated captions. You're not starting from scratch. And to make it accessible, you go ahead and edit them. And then you schedule the Premiere video to debut live. And in that way, you could have your live video be accessible. So those are kind of the two options, either contract with a third-party service or switch things up a bit and switch from live videos to Premiere videos.
Okay, so what if your Facebook Live event is not actually live? If you are doing some fancy work using Facebook Premiere or something else, how do you do that? And what about if you want to do a Q&A?
Facebook in the Help Center has instructions for doing Premiere videos, and I can email them out or send them to you, or you can Google for them. The instructions are step-by-step, but one of the most important parts of the Premiere video instructions that you should pay attention to is the part where it talks about live cross-posting. If you want to live cross-post from your program page to your extension county page, you're going to need to do the Premiere video on a desktop. And then what was the second part of that question, Shauna?
What about if you're doing Q&A?
So Q&A, if you are a one-person show, and I know a lot of us are, Q&A is actually easier on Premiere videos than live videos. That's because for Premiere videos, you are not trying to be the talking head and the chat box monitor and the answerer all at the same time. We saw earlier me when my audio was cutting in and out, I did not have the ability to see the chat window. And so it was hard for me to respond. And that's basically what you're doing on a live video. You're kind of being a one-person show, monitoring the chat, being the talking head, replying to the chat. It's hard, you're juggling. But with live videos, the talking head part of your role was done in advance. So now you are able to live in the chat box while the video is going, ask and answer questions. You, instead of having to wear multiple hats and be multiple people, you could be just one person for a second. And that feels kind of nice. It's great to use technology in that way for Q&A.
Great, thank you. So when we, just to sort of make sure everybody knows, we are recording this presentation and we will be sharing it out as soon as we make it accessible and get it captioned and ready to post online. And we'll send out a email to everybody when that's available, so you can refer back to this presentation and the Q&A section at any time. And we'll include in that email links to the Facebook how-to section. I don't want to get too detailed about the exact how to do what there, but there are some great resources there for you. And then you can always reach back out to us with your specific questions if you're doing a lot of Facebook Live, and if the Facebook resources don't answer them for you, in addition to the info that Ashley shared here. A couple of other questions we're getting are on email marketing. So do we have to send everything to marketing for approval? I know that's a little bit of a confusing process because we don't expect our small group of folks to be able to review and approve every email that's going to be sent out across the state. That's quite a lot, right? So what we do ask is for those of you that are sending regular e-blasts, like the few that we've shown on the screen, please send it to us so that we can approve and review the template that you're using to make sure the branding is accurate. We know what lists you're sending it to, so that we aren't also sending, or other programs aren't also sending similar communications to the same audience. We're trying to make sure we've got things strategically coordinated there. So just more for us to know who you're sending it to so that we can factor that into our plans. But just that first time, if you can send us your template, we'll get it reviewed, approved, make sure it's accessible and branded accurately. And then as you're just changing the internal content, that is fine to send out as long as the shell or the template has been approved and given the go-ahead for. Hopefully that clarifies that for you. There's another question on the timing around media releases, media relations, media pitching, kind of how that all works. And it's important to remember that there's several levels in which we interact with the media. So absolutely, we want you all doing media interviews as much as you're able and interested. So if media contacts you, that's great. You're perfectly able to do that interview. We hope you will. We do ask that you let us know when media contacts you so we can either provide additional information, help make sure you're comfortable and have gotten media training. We might know about a few other events happening that you might also share, but you may do those interviews as needed. There's then those different categories that Tiffany talked about. Media releases is what we do when we do have time, which isn't always, and we understand that. Sometimes things happen with quick turnaround, which is why the bulk of this presentation is focused on the things you can do immediately: website, social media, email marketing. All of those things are what you do when you have a short turnaround time. When you do have a long enough turnaround time, that's when we like to send out media releases, because we could turn something around quickly, but the media is not going to pick it up if they don't get it 2 weeks ahead of time. That's their timeline. So we don't want to be creating things and sending them out to the media and then have them not get picked up. That's just time. That's not going to help you reach your goals. So those media releases are not for all cases. Those are for when you do have that long lead time, where we can do that as an additive to all of these other digital communication processes you're following all of the time. The website, the social media, email marketing, those are for the quicker turnarounds. And that is the media pitching. And that's when we can just pick up the phone and call our media contacts and let them know about an event that's happening in a couple of days in their community that's on a topic that they cover. So again, depending on what the event is, what the need is, who the audience is, we can figure out which one of those is most appropriate to do. So again, media releases aren't going to be for everything. That's sort of additive when we do have longer lead times. Okay, are there other questions? There's questions about flyer templates. We do have a number of flyer templates that are available on the brand toolkit. We also are working with an ad agency to create a new suite of templates, both for digital platforms and for print, when we all eventually come back together and can hand somebody a flyer in real life again. Won't that be a good day? So we're getting some new branded templates available that should be ready by early May, so that, again, in anticipation of when we all come back. So keep an eye on that brand toolkit that Ashley mentioned earlier. We're adding materials to that all of the time, and so keep watching that.
But sorry, Shauna, to jump in, as a reminder, we don't want to default to flyers right now. We want you working on using other tools that we've covered before going to the flyers.
Yes, absolutely. As everybody covered today, a print tool is something that's just not really applicable right now, but we are kind of working ahead so that when those needs come back, they'll be available for you. Are there any other questions? I think we've got through everything in the chat. If I missed one, please do email me afterwards and we'll try to reply to you individually. I want to give a big thank you to Tiffany and Ashley and Molly. They put this together really quickly, less than a week turnaround, in response to all of the questions we've been getting from you all and how we see you're really doing great work trying to transition all of what you do online, and that's a new platform for many of you. So we hope these resources were helpful. If you do have additional questions, or as you're working on these new platforms, please do visit the employee resource site that Ashley mentioned. There are a number of how-to docs in there for you that'll take you step by step through a lot of these processes. And again, this webinar will be posted that you can reference anytime. So reach out if you have questions. Thank you all very much for attending today, and good luck in your digital first marketing strategies.